Hey everyone, it's Alessio. Hope you're well. So interesting things happening on the chart of Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at what this chart of Bitcoin is saying to us. Some interesting things are happening on this weekly time frame of Bitcoin. And in fact, I want to talk about an important signal that if it triggers, it could be a very positive sign for Bitcoin in the next several weeks and months. All right, guys, let's talk about it. Join me. All right, guys, welcome back, and buongiorno ragazzi. In fact, as you can probably tell, I'm not in London. I'm currently in the town of Venice in Italy. And I gotta tell you guys, when it comes to rain and storms, Italy gives England a run for its money. So I arrived yesterday here in Venice in Italy, and it's just been pouring down, lots of heavy storms. But generally, just great to be here. You know, just a lovely town. All right, guys, let's take a walk here and talk about Bitcoin. So facciamo un giro insieme. So let's talk about some interesting signs that are appearing on the chart of Bitcoin. Bitcoin just recently took out the 65,000 resistance, as you can see there on the chart. But since then, it dropped back down. Now, as I'm making this video, Bitcoin is currently just hovering near 60,000 or 62,000 level. So I guess the question you're probably wondering is, what are the odds of Bitcoin moving back into some kind of a bullish uptrend into higher levels in the next several weeks and months? For example, what are the odds of Bitcoin going back into the 70,000, 80,000 range in the next several months? By the way, guys, as I'm making this video, let me just show you here. Take a look at this. So these are some really interesting sites you can see here. Hopefully I won't fall into the canal at some point. So a very interesting thing is happening on Bitcoin right now on the weekly time frame is the MACD indicator on Bitcoin. Now let me say this, that I don't rely just on one indicator to give me an indication as to what Bitcoin is doing. The main thing I look at, and the thing is, even though I do use indicators on charts, I prefer to use price structure, as you know, price structure, Elliott waves. Those are the things which I value the most when it comes to chart analysis. However, indicators, like for example, RSI, MACD, stochastic RSI, they can also be useful. What I want to focus on is the MACD indicator, again, 12.26.9 default setting on the chart, on the weekly time frame of Bitcoin. So the reason why something interesting is happening on the weekly time frame of Bitcoin is the MACD indicator looks potentially about to cross over in a positive direction in the next few weeks. So you can see at the moment, the blue line is below the red line on the MACD indicator. It looks as though, it appears, the MACD is likely to give a positive bullish crossover. In other words, it's likely that in the next few weeks, we may potentially see the blue line go above the red line. In other words, we may actually see a positive crossover, a bullish crossover on the MACD. Now you're probably thinking, okay, so what? Well, you see guys, if indeed the MACD indicator gives a bullish crossover in the next few weeks on Bitcoin, which I think is likely, that is what I think is going to happen. However, I'm gonna wait for confirmation. So if the MACD indicator gives us, hopefully, with a bit of luck, per fortuna, as they say here in Italy, if we get a bullish positive crossover on the MACD, that could be a very strong early signal of potential bullish and positive movements on Bitcoin for the next several weeks and months, taking us to the end of the year. For example, this is what happened in the year 2023, just last year. Notice that we had a bullish crossover, a positive crossover on the MACD indicator. I think this occurred in October of last year. By the way, one important thing I did not mention is that I prefer that the price is above the 21 weekly moving average when the MACD crossover signal occurs. In other words, guys, it is not enough just to see a MACD crossover, a bullish crossover on the weekly time frame for a bullish signal. What we also need is for the price to be also above the weekly 21 EMA. So if both things are occurring in combination, so we need a MACD crossover, a bullish crossover, with the price being above the weekly 21 EMA, that shows there's a strong chance for Bitcoin to continue the trend in the upward direction. So in other words, I would ignore any signals, any bullish crossover signals that occur when the price is below the 21 weekly moving average. Okay, so if you see a MACD crossover on a weekly time frame, and if the price is below its weekly 21 EMA, I would ignore that. I would not use that because the odds are lower for the MACD signal to work out in a positive direction. Now, as you can see, at the moment, price is just hovering near the weekly 21 EMA, but I think if we're lucky to get a MACD crossover on the weekly time frame of Bitcoin in the next few weeks, which again is what I think is going to happen. So if we're lucky to get a bullish positive crossover on the MACD indicator of Bitcoin in the next few weeks, and the price being above its weekly 21 EMA, that could be a very strong positive sign. As you can see, this is what happened in the year 2023. Notice that last year, in October last year approximately, we had a bullish crossover on the MACD, and the price was above its weekly 21 EMA. And notice what happened next. The price of Bitcoin then rallied higher, significantly higher, higher from around 28,000 approximately all the way to 40,000, 50,000. Here's another example from previous years. I think this is a signal occurred back in the year 2020. I noticed when we had that positive crossover and the price was above its weekly 21 EMA, that was a strong positive sign for Bitcoin, and then it rallied significantly higher. So those are things that I'm looking for on Bitcoin in the next several weeks and months. Guys, let me show you this. It's a beautiful bridge in front of me here. You know, I often say coming to Venice is a bit like coming to a different century, a different era. All right, guys, so personally, in my view, that is what I think is likely to happen to Bitcoin in the next few weeks. I think as long as Bitcoin can stay above its September lows, I think as long as we stay above the September lows, for me, I'm going to remain optimistic, again, bullish on Bitcoin. So I'm personally of the view that in the next several weeks, we're going to see a positive bullish crossover on the MACD indicator of Bitcoin. And I think if that happens, and as long as price stays above its weekly 21 EMA, that could be a very strong bullish signal, very powerful bullish signal for Bitcoin going to the end of the year. And I think that potentially may push Bitcoin into the 70K, 80K range. All right, guys, so that's all I got at the moment here on Bitcoin. Spero che vediamoci nel prossimo video. So from here in Venice, I want to wish you a fantastic week. See you guys soon. Ciao, ragazzi. Arrivederci.